Start the morning right with a cup of Vinyl Tap. Nothing beats the refreshing taste of a hot, warm mug of Vinyl Tap. Enjoy your podcast in liquid form today. Vinyl Tap. Enjoy responsibly.
2, 1.
Vinyl Tap.
I'm Jason.
And this month on Vinyl Tap, we covered none other than Taylor Swift.
That's
right.
It wasn't female pop artists?
No, it wasn't. I know. Kat would have thrown many of you. But it was actually T-Swizzle.
On that...
No points for figuring that out, by the way.
On Cats, how do we all feel about this?
Oh, we're jumping right into it, are
We're
we?
jumping right
it's
into
the first
the-
thing we have to
the
address.
I'm feeling a little victimized
You
at this
probably
moment.
should. It's an accurate way to feel right
Choices have consequences, Tim.
So
This is news to
And
me.
you made a very, very poor choice.
I made a big choice.
well, yeah, look, it could have been redeemed if it was musically okay too, but it wasn't. It was trash.
And
I hated listening
two out
to
of,
that.
13 or 12 songs are relevant to her. The rest are not relevant to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, okay.
Look,
It's got Taylor Swift on it.
The month was about Taylor
Taylor
Swift. It was meant to be about her music as an artist. We were going to discuss
no,
her.
no,
We're
no.
gonna.
Maybe we should set stricter rules.
No, this is fun.
The
This is good
entire idea was
conversation.
playing with the theme. Are you seriously going to discourage me from playing with the idea?
If it's
No,
cats,
no. I think
Yes.
it's a good good choice. Interesting. I just don't think it panned out.
Okay, I'm perfectly happy with tanking the month and losing this theme of Vinyl Tap. I knew that was going to happen, but I'm not taking it as like I didn't meet the criteria. I absolutely did. That's the hill that I've chosen to
Well,
build
that's
my...
a really bad hill.
No, you're incorrect. You will be
I
held
will
back
give you
by
it.
my walls.
She's in it. She contributed creatively in ways that other people didn't because she actually composed a song for it. So I'll give you props for that. I'll allow it.
Yeah, but like,
I think you two out of 12 met the theme.
No.
Yeah.
No,
One
no.
sixth.
One and a half.
You
It was
met
12.
There was one box to tick, and it was Taylor Swift, and I did that. Taylor Swift
Yeah.
is in. Like,
so no, what you could have done
What the
though.
fuck
okay,
is this?
if you want to go outside the box, what if you like? What was the producer for the last album that we just
I
listened
can't
to?
remember
Taylor
his
Swift.
name.
No.
Lisa
but-
Produced by
No, Lisa-
Nathan Chapman.
No, Lisa
Rose, wasn't
the guy who wrote with
So
her.
you
Yeah,
could have done
Liz,
like an
Liz
album.
Rose.
You could have done an album of like Liz Rose, who like
Oh, there we go.
right.
Okay.
There's a nice
that
side
would have
step.
failed the thing.
What about the
No,
one
it wouldn't
in-
have because that's
What about
okay.
the one where she
Babes,
raps
that
with a
probably
tray
would have
of
failed the
cookies?
theme.
What about the one where she raps with a tray of cookies in a garage?
That absolutely would have satisfied the criteria.
It's only
Taylor
one
Swift
half
doing.
song.
It doesn't matter. We've brought
Yeah,
things in
I
our
was gonna
albums
say
here before.
the loose definition of album is it's malleable here.
It is malleable. As an album, Cats 2 out of 12. What is that? That's
A sixth.
there we go. Thank you, Jason, for doing basic arithmetic.
It's alright. I didn't do it the first time. I had to get to it as well.
It's not quite 17%.
Right. So in my mind, you wouldn't pass uni with that. You wouldn't pass any kind of schooling with that. So you shouldn't pass Vinyl Tap.
That's the metric we're going on, is
Metric
it?
that we're using.
I don't know if that's the metric we should use,
No,
but
it's all
We
or
should use it
nothing.
for this month only. I'm not setting a precedent for any other month. I just think
This is
that
the attack Tim criteria.
it really is.
Can I just say I'm really pleased and really grateful that you didn't make us listen to the entire show. Like just the highlights album. I'm really happy that was what you decided to do. It was like you picked a very specific level of torture. And you sat there and you went, I could be really awful or I could just be medium.
Literally, I just went to her discography on Spotify and saw she appears on Cats. And I was like, okay, we're using that album then.
Like that's fair enough.
that does strengthen your argument that
Absolutely.
it appears on her discography, which of course it does. But I'm still not convinced that it fully meets the...
I can't believe this.
I know. Look, okay. I think I'm definitely combining my emotional feel about this and my.
Oh, it was terrible. I had to go through it too.
But it's not as bad when you're the one that's choosing it.
Oh, you say that, don't you?
Yeah, it's true though.
You also said that.
Maybe we should move on from Tim's
Yes,
choice
we've
of
all
album.
agreed that I've done nothing wrong except for made us listen to Cats.
And met the theme by a sixth.
No.
And
In
okay,
other news.
favorite albums.
Why did you choose the one you chose, Nicole?
Ooh. That's a hard question. I guess Reputation for me was a real shock to my system. As someone who fell in love with Taylor Swift when I was quite young, I actually was really jarred by Reputation when it came out. And I have friends who are T Swizzle fans, and when she launches an album, we do contact each other and like we have a chat about what we liked about it. And I do remember one of my friends in Sydney like saying, "Oh, if you listen to it, I love it." And I was like, I made it through maybe the first few, and I was like, I'm not happy. Like, and I think that was a very emotional response. It wasn't like, damn you, Taylor Swift. It was more like I just was so hung up on the way she used to sound, and for me, it was like a real jolt. And then I grew to love it. Like,
What was shocking about it?
I think it was just like, well, the album before that was, off the top of my head, Red.
That sounds right.
Off
That
the top
sounds
of my head is a good name for an
Oh.
album.
I think Red was the last one before that, and maybe we should have listened to that one as well as a contextualizing thing, just because it is quite a jump. It is a very different sound, and like I said, they did remove everything off her social media for that. So that, I guess, was the major point. It was a completely different sound and a completely different point of view. So I think it marked a real turning point, and I think we probably would have done a disjustice or disservice to like listening to her albums without probably the most controversial one that she has, aside from maybe the Christmas one.
The Christmas one's passable. That's fine.
You have to like Christmas to want to listen to the Christmas album.
Right.
All right, why you choose? Actually, we kind of touched on
we
it.
did
Well, we
touch
kind
on
of touched it. Basically, when we were doing T Swizzle, I was like, well, let's go to the original where it all began.
That's cool.
To be honest though, it's a bit kind of daunting having to pick an album for this theme because
so many.
well, there's so many. I also don't know anything about Taylor Swift. I'm not like in any way educated or like.
That's another reason I chose Cats.
So I guess like I really like hearing an artist's first album just in general because it's I don't know, there's so many interesting things, like you can hear the roots of stuff that even appears in their last album is always there, and it's cool to hear that so raw and I don't know, just so it's like unrefined, right?
I also really, it was completely accidental, but like that we went from the newest album to the first album as a point of comparison.
And Cats.
And Cats. But just because everyone was touting Folklore as like a return to her roots, but having listened to them kind of back to back,
No.
not at all.
No.
I don't think I ever got that impression with Folklore, personally. I don't think I ever sat there and went, oh, she's going back to who she was. I don't know, I guess I saw Reputation and to an extent Lover as like a caterpillar phase and like transforming kind of thing. Like I think she went from being a 16-year-old who got roped into signing contracts that probably didn't suit her and obviously are now playing out much more dramatically than I guess any 16-year-old would have imagined. But, you know, I think those albums moved her away from that. And I think maybe she's coming into a period where we're going to see what a 30-year-old Taylor Swift is actually like. Like, not... I don't think the Reputation is what she's actually like.
No.
I don't think that's a good representation of who she is. I think it was what people made her into for a very short period of
Reputation
time.
seems much like she's playing a character to prove a point.
Yeah.
So there's a reason it's called Reputation, because it's about the reputation that she has and is portrayed in the media. Right? Like it's right there.
Brain stuff.
Big brain.
Especially
I'm
in
gonna
one
just
of the,
say the
in
most
one of the
obvious
film clips,
stuff, but
you do see all of her past Taylors. Like she does dress up as what she used to look like and how she used to act and that kind of thing.
All right, why you choose Folklore?
I mean, I guess it's
Why?
kind of just so
You put me on the
accusatory.
spot.
Yeah.
I got fucking.
Oh, you made a bad choice.
Said it was interesting.
It is interesting, but that interesting and bad aren't, mutually exclusive.
Come on, we've railed him enough.
Moving on. Why did you do
What about folklore?
I'm sorry, Tim. You know I love you. The reason I chose Folklore was I just really liked it as an album when I first heard it. I make a point of listening to like the larger, well-known artists that I'm not necessarily following because I like their music, but because they're at a point where they kind of shape pop culture and what's happening in the moment. Like when Kanye releases something, I'll listen to it, and even stuff like Drake. And it's not, I don't go into them going, I'm going to enjoy this. It's more, I want to know what other people are listening to and why they're enjoying it. And I was like really pleasantly surprised with the Taylor Swift album. It's not what I was expecting at all. And I don't know, it's the kind of thing that I thought you both, because I knew you already listened to it, but that Tim and Beebs would enjoy, but also not the kind of thing that you would listen to outside of something like this, or unless I sat you down and made you do it anyway, which is always a possibility.
You could have done that.
It's something that I've tried to start doing, like listen to pop stuff just for the sake of it. I don't know. I do find it difficult though. I mean, or I'm gonna just say it, but like,
Please do.
well, pop stuff just kind of bores me, and maybe it's a bit, I don't know, lame to want to sit down and listen to an album just the whole way through, kind of thing. And I get the vibe that these albums are not necessarily, I don't know, something to sit down and listen to the whole thing.
I mean,
or maybe
especially-
it's just that I don't enjoy that, right?
Pop in general is not designed around the album at this point
I
in time.
don't think it's a you thing.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone makes a point of. I mean, surely someone. There's too many people. Well, not too many. There are enough people in the world. Someone out there, surely, but you'd be hard pressed to find them. The person that sits down to the new Taylor album is out. I must sit down in my music listening chair with my perfect.
Oh, I could
headphones on.
definitely name a few.
Yeah,
people that did that.
I reckon there are definitely.
It's not
I
the
guess-
general consumer though.
I think maybe we all have something that we would sit down and listen to nonstop. Like I said, I personally don't do that a lot. I often listen to my music while I'm exercising or riding the bike to work or like moving things around at work, and I don't actually have to communicate to anyone. I put music on in the background. But I guess that also comes down to music like with a purpose. Like why do we listen to music and why are we Thanks, Beebs. That's really nice of you.
I'm just getting distracted by off-camera stuff, but
But it's like also why, like, do you listen to music? Do you listen to different types of music while you exercise? Like, I know that if I'm having a particularly tough exercising day, I'll put something a little more metal heavy on. Or if I'm enjoying my exercise and I want something upbeat, I will put some pop music on or things like that. But I guess it depends. Like, you don't always feel like one type of thing. And I guess that's why we've got Spotify playlists that are, like, tuned into our, like, what we like and why they make recommendations.
Like,
right.
I guess with like the whole, if you're in this mood or you want to listen to this kind of music, just click on this playlist and we'll take you down that entire path of music. That's very much disincentivize listening to an entire album. The Spotify playlist.
Well, that was the point I was going to get into, was albums aren't really the default anymore.
No.
And I know that I keep saying this to you too, but like there's no reason why you couldn't have a career in music where all you do is release singles. You know, if you were to do a single a month, it's the same as an album, and it's something regular for people to engage with and get hyped with on a regular basis. And I don't know of anyone that's currently doing that, but just the way that the digital landscape works, you'd be rewarded for, you know, uploading regularly, especially if it does well. And then you're not going to have a situation where you release an album and there are the tracks that underperform and kind of drop down. I mean, you still could. You'd still have songs that wouldn't do as well.
You also get that opportunity to highlight the songs you love, because every now and then the songs you love might not be the ones that people love in an album, and that'll be the case in singles. But if you release something as a single, it's not going to get glossed over as much. I'm not saying people are still like can hit the skip button sometimes. Like, it does happen, but
Well, yeah, so if your playlist is pulling kind of popular music for, like, a particular mood, you want to, like, listen to heavy stuff because you're going through, like, some, I don't know, tough exercise routine, they're pulling songs from albums that were constructed to be albums.
Mm-hmm.
And so, is there actually a case that albums have kind of died off? Or is it that playlist, like, because you need those peaks and troughs in an album. You need, like, I mean, even though sometimes it got a bit hard to listen through a whole album of Taylor Swift, it still had, flow to it, still had a story. The pulse would increase and sort of gently sway you back and forth. And, like, I think that highlights particular songs. And then when you pull them out of context, sure, maybe, I don't know, you don't need that album, but, like, going back to, like, it's like owning a CD of your favorite artist. Like, if you had, like, 20 singles, it would be a bit kind of depressing. And I think there's maybe, like, maybe there's still a case for having albums, especially in, like, pop music or whatever, so that you can be like...
I know she did put Folklore onto a vinyl for her merch, so you could buy the actual
Didn't she
CDs.
put it onto a bunch of vinyls?
I was going to say, isn't there, like, multiple...
No, just one.
Multiple...
Just one for
No,
one
no.
fan. That was it. Like,
Isn't there
one
No, I
also-
mean multiple versions.
Yeah, I was going
of
to say,
it.
isn't there multiple artworks?
There were multiple artworks, yes.
And I don't
multiple
know
colours
how
to
I
the vinyls.
feel about that. Multiple vinyl colours is a normal thing, but selling the same CD repackaged with different artwork, and the only incentive to buy the album again is different artwork on the package.
Fucking
I
Pokemon collect
I
them
think
all.
it was more about whatever connected with you. I don't think she advertised it, at least not, like, I did look through the merch when it came out. Obviously, we were in lockdown, and I decided that it was a need
It was time.
to, like, preserve my funds and not go buy expensive vinyl overseas. But I don't remember seeing it as advertised as you need to own them like a collection. It wasn't about owning each of the artwork, which I'm sure people
Some
have
people
done.
would, yeah.
But I think it was like you picked the one that resonated the most with you. Like, I guess, like, the album released before the merch did.
Yeah.
And so you would have listened to it on Spotify and then pre-ordered the merch as well. And so I just kind of sat there and went, that image, I like that image, and if I was going to put that vinyl on display, that was the one I was going to pick. And I know a few of my friends bought different ones because they liked that image instead.
Okay, that's an interesting take
Like,
on it.
I don't think I ever saw it as like it wasn't advertised as a set. Like, it wasn't that you had to own all 6 different covers. It was just that they had different covers and different colours to the vinyls for...
It does allow
aesthetic
for
purposes.
the opportunity of the hyper stands to do that, though, which is a clever business move, if nothing else.
She has these... This is something that... Actually, we've touched on something that I have had a bit of an issue with in the past, is how clever some of her business practices are in a way that I didn't like. So you used to have to get higher on a ticket queue and not a guarantee for, I think it was for Reputation and maybe 1 or 2 before that. If, depending on the amount of merch you bought, you got higher in the ticket queue to get to see the concert. And this is what I say, that, like, while I do appreciate a lot of what she's done and a lot of what she's been through, I'm not blind to some of the things that she has done that have disagreed with, like, what I, like, stand for. And that was one of those things. I was like, she's got a huge number of fans, but I was like, a lot of us have supported you from when you were very young. And that kind of thing, it just rubbed me the wrong way in a big business kind of way, because it made you feel like quite small and insignificant. Like, you've been following this person for, 15 years?
And it doesn't matter because
even-
more other people spend more money.
Yeah,
I
if
was
you
gonna
spend
say.
more money, you'll get closer to her in the crowd. You get closer to the top of this ticket queue that you might not even actually get a ticket in.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how much money you spend, which was just a big unnecessary money grab in my eyes. Like,
Is there a bit of a story that she didn't have a lot of control with those things? I mean, is that something that she wouldn't have had a lot of control in? And is it kind of upsetting that she didn't speak out about it and be like, hey, that was fucked?
I think either or, I'm not particularly happy. Like, if you say you get to a point where, even if it is, like, a couple of weeks before your show's launch, and all of a sudden you find out that your managers have done this thing, I think not apologising or saying something about it if you didn't agree with it, I don't see much of a difference in that regard. Like, I think whether she was part of the decision making or chose to not say anything about that decision, like, I'm not sure.
How would you feel if she had like signed an NDA or something and she wasn't allowed to talk about it publicly? Just for argument's sake. I'm not saying that that's what happened, because I feel the same as you. I feel as though things like that really do take away from like the community that you built, and it doesn't give everyone equal access to come and see your shows or
and
the
they're
opportunity.
huge shows, and I understand that maybe this was a scheme to try and stop the massive like internet crashing systems that they had when she got huge, and suddenly systems couldn't handle how many people were in that queue at that time. Maybe this was a way of managing it, but
I don't see how that would work on a technical end. I'm just running through how you would do that, and I don't think that that's a reasonable excuse. Is what I'm saying.
Sometimes
I don't think so either. But like, that's the only thing I could come up for in my head.
Sometimes the simplest answer is the answer.
I think it was just a money grab.
It's a big money grab, yeah.
And that like that kind of thing. And there were a few moments when, I know a lot of people have criticised her late voicing of her support of the gay community and like LGBTQ. Sorry, I've got all the acronyms wrong. That's my bad. But I know a lot of people did criticize how late she came to that like discussion, especially when she hired a lot of gay and bisexual dancers. She hired people of all different colours and genders and that kind of thing. And it took for her to speak up at Lover, which was the album before Folklore. And while I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, I just know that people have criticised that when people were marching in the streets in New York, like I know Miley Cyrus was out in the streets at various points, Taylor Swift was off the map. And I know that she had other things going on, and this was around the cancel Taylor Swift culture, and there was a lot personally going on, and I don't want to be like, I can't believe she didn't say anything, but it is one thing that like I've always been curious about as to when stepping out was the right choice.
It's an extremely compromising position, because once you do say something, a lot of people will be like, oh, you're only saying that because we wanted you to say. It's like, so I can understand holding back on that. At the same time, isn't hiring these people supporting them?
Oh, and that's
like
what
putting
I'm
them
saying.
in your music videos that'll get billions of views, that's supporting those people. So I don't really understand how that's oh no, I'm going to start an argument.
I think there's just like every now and then I personally have felt that she has so much influence that I think now she's using in a way that's going to really help people. And I just think that prior to the Reputation album, I think that we were all a bit befuddled as to because she does support all these people and she does care greatly about them, and you can see that. I think we were a little befuddled as to why nothing came out prior to that.
Yeah.
Like, you were just a little concerned.
While it's great for people to use their platforms to support those in need, and I am all pro everything we just said,
Here we go.
I don't believe that people have an obligation to use their platform one way or the other. If you're being directly asked whether you support something, 100% you should answer. But I don't think that just because you've got success from something like music, you're obliged to weigh into politics or...
I know that is an argument that happens a lot, but I think the argument here is that it's not why haven't you spoken up about these things? It's just like, we know that it seems very much like you support these things. Why haven't you just said it?
Okay.
And I think that's because I have no idea, but it seems like having a voice that big can be extremely intimidating to say anything.
Yeah. And I would just like to preface that with also that this was around the time of the sexual assault trial with those types of things, and it was around cancel culture, and there was all this other stuff going on. So, like, it's one of those things that at the time I was quite jarred and a little confused, but, you know, with that context, it makes more sense because now she is quite outspoken and she has talked about the election. She has talked about, like, you know, the things that
Better
you
late
kind
than
of,
never. Like,
yeah, like that you kind of expected from her. And I know expected is a harsh word, but like, I think we just knew that she was that type of person, and then that Reputation era kind of just, I think it hurt because everyone was like, you were quite outspoken before and now you're not, when like a few people in your community probably need you to be their, like, not lifeline, but, you know, you're someone they look up to. And to have someone like you say, you don't even have to say a lot. I think just someone wanted her to say, I'm with you. Like, and she's doing that wonderfully now. And I'm not at all criticizing what she's doing now. I think that she's speaking up. I think she's found her center and her ground that's enabled her to do that. I think she was just a bit broken when all that stuff was going on personally. And so she couldn't step up and kind of say what she wanted to say, which is now what she is saying.
I think maybe to try and challenge that idea that, like, you know, just because you have a platform, you shouldn't, you know, like, if someone is directly asking you, I think the community can be implicitly asking you by what's going on with the world at large. And that silence is saying more than, you know, like, just because no one's going, hey, what do you think? And then, like, you're not responding, doesn't mean that the question's not actually always being asked.
No, but if it's in being implicit, then that's still, like, being asked, though. I'm saying directly asking is probably not the right way, but if the question is there, it's something you should acknowledge.
Well, Beebs is saying that the question is always there.
It's always there.
But at what point then? So should you
well,
be...
Does she need to comment on every single issue in the world?
that's my thing. And
well, no, but, like, when, like,
Noted
a lot
political
of it,
pundit Taylor Swift.
but this, I mean, like, how, like, I don't know, like, how righteous do you want to get about this? I mean, this is about a community that have followed her and they just wanted her to speak up. I mean, not asking her to...
In this certain circumstance, I'm really glad she did speak up, and I think that...
But she didn't for a while.
But like
Better
Tim
late?
said, better late than never. You know,
Better
it's
than
better...
I know that people
No.
did get very critical when You Need to Calm Down came out, but I was very happy that happened and that she...
Why did they get critical? I don't have the
So
context
that
there.
was her... So that was kind of, I think, the first thing she released from Lover. So after Reputation, and it was filled with famous friends and, like, famous actors from, like, the gay, lesbian, bi community, like drag queens, really amazing. And so it was about kind of just telling people to calm down about other people's sexual preferences and the way they want to dress and that kind of thing. And I know there was a bit of backlash from it, but I personally was like, I wish this was when the gay marriage marches and those things were happening. But I'm really happy that it's happening now, like, better late than never in my head, because when Reputation came out, I was like, okay, so there's been some shit going on in her life that clearly took precedence over being a martyr for the world to, like...
To draw the point of comparison, like, Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball, Taylor Swift Reputation, is there a comparison that can be drawn that, like, at some point you have to, like, release a song or an album that's like, hey,
fuck you.
like, you're really breaking
See.
something, like, whatever that mold is, you're just kind of giving it a bit all fuck you so you can move on and change.
And boy, howdy, have they.
And, like, yeah.
I like that.
In all
Yeah,
honesty,
that's not a terrible comparison.
I think it
Not
happens
terrible.
a lot
Yes.
with women, because I think we move on a little bit quicker with child stars when they're men. And I know that's a big stereotypical kind of statement, but the way that particularly Miley Cyrus and, you know, Taylor Swift have been treated trying to grow up in the public light, trying to go from being teenagers to being adults. Maybe a big crazy foam finger is the only way to get people to stop comparing you to the child star you were. And the cancel Taylor Swift culture, which was just horrendous. And I really can't believe we're still dealing with cancel culture on the internet now. I just, general.
That's a whole other thing.
Cancel Vinyl Tap. How dare they
I can't
say
believe
that Cats wasn't good?
I just want to I think that the transition I've seen, a lot of the child stars we grew up watching, like, I don't remember anything like this happening with the Jonas Brothers.
I think a really good comparison is if you look at the Harry Potter kids and how quickly everyone was happy to like sexualize Emma Watson, but how reluctant they were to do it with Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was doing stuff that could be characterized as raunchy, people were
Because
very
he did say that in an interview, didn't he? He did
I
say
think
that
he said
everyone
it,
was
and
really
like
happy to do
it's
that.
just that literally kind of proves what you're saying, and it's
Like, I think there's a bit of a thing where I think some women, you either drop off or you do that, hey, fuck you. Like, I'm gonna
break everything down and build it up again.
And I think that Taylor Swift's just been criticised at every turn. No matter what she does, no matter what she wears, like, absolutely everyone's got an opinion on it, whether it's good or bad. And I can just really, I can't imagine what she's going through. So while it's very easy for me to say, I wish that you'd stepped up and said something a little sooner than you did, I can't imagine what it would have been going through what she went through, especially with Kanye and the whole, like, photoshopping.
Forgot about all that. Oh my god. Holy
everything,
shit.
not to mention when he runs up on stage and that keeps rehashing, and the people that now own her masters and all that kind of stuff, that she doesn't own her body of work.
We've been going for half an hour and haven't even touched on
I know
the masters.
this is something that I've been wanting to talk about the entire time. Her masters sold this week again. So, what's his name? The guy who had them.
It'll be last week when this goes up.
Yeah, it will be last week when this goes up.
I must admit,
I can't remember
right
the name of the dude who has apparently been like bullying her and basically
Probably Kevin.
And
is still he's still profiting off them even though he's now sold them. But it was also sold without her knowledge.
Yep.
And apparently because of this sale, she's actually come out and said she's definitely re-recording her first
I'm
6
so-
albums.
Which is
So
very
is
epic.
such an insane. It raises
It's
so
an
many
alpha
questions.
move.
I
Like,
am ready.
So what is re-recording? Okay, explain to the humble, simple mind. What is re-recording masters? The vocals, or are we getting slide
the entire
Everything.
track.
So we're getting those slide guitar.
yeah, we're getting
everything.
country
Back
Taylor
to
Swift
Bangelino.
Yeah.
all over again.
And so here's the thing. I want to see how closely they can be replicated.
I want to see what she can do with them if she decides not to closely replicate them. Like, if she does them again, but just a little bit of like a 30-year-old
That's the other
twist,
thing, right? And
I'm
then
ready.
Also,
I'm down for
if
it.
she
How are you going to
uploads,
feel if whoever did that male vocal track in Taylor Swift the album, if it's still another, if she doesn't multi-track herself, it's
They bring that same guy.
that same guy comes back
14 years later.
14 years later. How are you going to feel?
I'm gonna feel betrayed.
Good. I can't wait.
I'd actually be disgusted.
also, when they are recorded and uploaded, does she have the power and authority to remove the previous masters off streaming services? Like, who knows? And if not, are they up there competing with each other? If they sound exactly the same, how do you tell if you're supporting her or the other one? Like, there's so
shit.
much interesting...
So do
like,
we need to
what
go
happens
buy her
here?
like the original 6 CDs before they like fade away to obscurity?
Well, but then you're
back
not
of
supporting
people's
her,
cars?
right?
Is she George Lucasing this?
What?
Oh my god.
See, like, there's so much, like, what happens in this situation when, if she actually commits to this, which I really hope she does, because I want to see how it plays out. I want to see, because it's absolutely atrocious that other people who haven't made your music can be profiting that much off something that you have creatively done and made.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but this is not the first time something like this has happened. The Streetlight Manifesto guy, I don't know if you know them, the ska band, one of his albums, I think it was like Keasley Nights or something, was recorded with his original band, and then like something with rights happened and some dickery happened, music drama.
Yeah.
And he re-recorded it with his new ska band. So there's 2 versions of the exact same album.
Also,
Right.
I don't know about anything about copyright, but do we have copyright issues if there are
No.
two things floating around
So-
that are identical?
She, sorry.
No,
Okay. She owns the copyright to the music. She
Sure.
wrote the lyrics. She wrote the music. She has that intellectual property. She also will have performing rights, as will.
Does she have performing rights? Because I know that she hasn't performed them
No,
recently.
no. The performing rights come from the performance that's recorded. So she has rights on the original tracks from the performance.
Because she was
Performed them.
Yeah.
But then there's the master rights,
Mm-hmm.
which is owning the actual whole track. And the way that it legally works is the person who pays for that is the person who owns it. So when you're signed to a studio and they pay for it, they own the actual track. So they get to make the decisions as to where it's licensed and where it's gone because they own the track. And so that's the aspect that she doesn't own because the studio paid for the recordings.
And if you
Fuck.
level up your Eevee when its friendship with you is high enough, it becomes an Espeon.
So obviously she's at a point where she can pay to re-record all this.
Yeah.
And she's going to own that. But
No,
like
it's
I
a
said,
daytime. Sorry.
it's just really interesting to see if she can take on someone that is essentially not like
Yeah.
I mean it's almost yes, but basically
Kevin.
stealing money that is like not legally hers, but morally
Yeah.
it's hers.
Like,
That's so fucked.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe that they're sitting in their little offices thinking this is a great idea. Like, she's never going to re-record them. Like, you know how much money this woman earns? Of course she's going to fucking re-record them. Like,
I mean,
if she
it's
can't...
not a common thing though.
It also sounds like fun.
It does
I know,
sound like
and
fun.
like, you know, she's got this fan base that, I mean, I must admit, I've pretty much boycott like a lot of those records because of this. Like, I don't stream them. If I listen to them, I do own all the CDs from when I was younger, so I do have them in my iTunes. But like, I personally was like, nah, I don't really feel like supporting these idiots anymore.
Makes
Like,
sense.
and I would be very keen to completely like drop those albums off like
What was that?
my rotation.
That you're saying about cancel culture?
Yeah, but when you're like trying to sell someone else's work.
No, that was a cheap blow.
cheap
Right.
cut.
Because I know that we've been going for a year and a half, let's just wrap it up. Favorite album of the month?
Ooh.
Because I think we all know what the least favorite
I'm
was.
actually gonna pull an Andrew and say Folklore.
That was your favourite?
I
That was your
think-
least favourite?
No, that was
Cats
my
your
favourite.
favourite?
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't
Stop
believe
putting words in my mouth.
I'm about to win. No, Folklore was my favourite also. I just said folklore. I said the L in folk.
Folklore was not terrible. I kind of like Taylor Swift though.
That was good.
I mean,
I like her too.
stop
The
that.
jokes are getting bad, guys.
It's getting real bad. I don't know. The teeny bopper loved Taylor Swift a lot. Folklore was maybe more engaging. Folklore it is.
I think I have to agree. I think
cool.
Folklore was just. I think it's a really decent album, and while I did love the trip down memory lane with Taylor Swift.
And cats.
I haven't seen Cats before, so it's definitely not a trip down
But
memory
you've
lane.
heard memory.
Click above to find out what else we've spoken about in this theme.
Click below to support the artist that we just listened to.
And make sure to tune in next week for more Vinyl Tap.
That's pretty good.